Data analysis, you're engaged, you've done content. How do you turn that into revenue? From Vorsight, where are you? There you go. Ted Martin, come on up. He's our director of training and sales for Vorsight, and we work with them very closely. A lot of our customers use them to help their sales organization be more effective in taking those valuable leads and turning them into revenue. Thank you.
All right, so as we do a little stage shift here. So as Umberto said, my name's Ted Martin. I'm with a company called Vorsight. Many of you may be familiar with us, but just to let you guys know what we're focused on, we're the only research-based sales training organization that's focused specifically on lead qualification and booking appointments with your key decision makers. And the purpose for today was to talk about, we've got big data, we have leads that are coming to us, but how do we create opportunities based on those leads? And so starting out, what I was hoping to actually do was, to try to wake everybody up, was to start off with kind of like a free word association. Okay, so you might be familiar with free word association, I hope so, but it's, first thing that pops into your head when you think of sales or hunters. So when I say hunters, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Ted Nugent, all right? Who else? What else? Anybody? Alec Baldwin, okay. Why is that? Okay, Glengarry Glen Ross, perfect. Who else? One more? Big Game, okay. Well, here's kind of what came top of mind for me. All right, Daniel Boone, obvious, right? The gal from Hunger Games, I had to watch that movie, that was not a choice on my own. Dog the Bounty Hunter from A&E, okay? But the reason why I joke around about this a little bit is traditionally, salespeople are viewed as hunters. And you have your hunters and your farmers. And one of the challenges that we've run into with the gift of marketing is the fact that it has allowed salespeople at times to actually take a step back and feel a little bit more comfortable. And we've received so much information and, more importantly, hand raises from marketing that it's allowed salespeople to lose this hunter mentality when it comes to actually following up on leads. And so what we want to discuss is a little bit about why are we doing that, and more importantly, what do we want our salespeople to be when it comes to actually following up on leads, and more importantly, being lead hunters. And so the basic premise at Vorsight, as you can read it on the screen, in sales, we aren't hunting as much as we need to. CEOs don't want lead follow-uppers. And if you remember about what Matt Dixon was talking about yesterday, challengers are the folks that actually do more with the leads that we need. They're actually going out and finding the right people for us to talk to. And so what we need hunter-oriented salespeople, not lead follow-uppers. All right, so we did a study with one of our partners, the Bridge Group. These are the demographics that you can read on the screen here. But we surveyed 1,150 sales reps, B2B sales reps, and we asked them different questions about what it is that they were doing with their leads. And some of the findings were actually really interesting. The first that astounded me, because I manage a sales team, is that reps were saying that they follow up on 84% of the leads. So that was really impressive to me because I didn't expect that high of a number. But more importantly, it made me start to think when you looked at the next piece, which is 70% of the business closed is probably or definitely self-generated. Now, the question can go one or two ways. The question can be, is marketing not passing us qualified enough leads? Which most salespeople could go back and forth and say yes. But more importantly, are we as salespeople not doing enough with the leads that we're given? And personally, me being a sales guy, I believe that we're not doing enough with the leads that we're given. We're expecting need versus developing need. And so what we've done at Vorsight is we worked with organizations like a company called F5 Networks out of Seattle, Washington. And when we started working with their VP of Inside Sales, Dan Hammond, he had told us that, Ted, it's really interesting. When my reps, we've been getting leads for years, and we've been getting inundated with leads. But the challenge is that the conversion of the leads is a little bit lower than we wanted. But more importantly, I don't think my reps are looking at the leads in the right way. And we started talking about this, and he was saying, well, a lead is an opportunity. And we started thinking, we said, well, no, not really, Dan. An opportunity is an opportunity. A lead, realistically, is an idea. It's an idea of a good account to target. It's an idea of a potential client that we can go out there and hunt. And when we started thinking about it like this, we started realizing that there was more that we could do with the leads that we already had. And so what I want to talk about is there's really 3 approaches to how to treat a lead as an idea. And it's answering 3 questions. First, do I have the right account? Second, do I have the right contact within the account? And then third, do I have the right message? All right, so let's start off with actually getting the right account. Now, in the Sales Speaks research that we did with the Bridge Group, one of the questions that we asked was, what percentage of marketing generated leads actually hit your sweet spot or fall under the umbrella of a right account? And as you can see the data here, again, 53% say less than 25% of those leads actually hit within their sweet spot. And then even more, 28%, between 25 and 49%. And what was interesting to me is I always thought that SMB specifically would be much larger, but it wasn't. So the question is, why are our leads that are coming into us not necessarily hitting our sweet spot? And we took it a step further, and so we started asking reps just to give us the reason why or what they do with their leads. And these are some of the examples that they came back to us with. Well, we're required to do 100% lead follow-up. Here's what I do with it. I contact all of them, but most just get an email. Now, why do our sales reps respond in this way? If you go back to the data, it's because, well, they don't think that they're getting the right accounts. But let's think about this for a second. Now, I'm a sales manager, as many of you are, and I know that whenever I go into the year, I sit down with my reps and I say, okay, tell me your top 25 accounts. Who are we going to penetrate this year? And no joke, I will have people that'll come down to me, and 10 of them will be 10 of the largest companies in their territory or region. Now, I'm not going to ask for a raise of hands, but I think that this is something that's similar to most of our clients, and I'm sure many of you, is that our reps, when they're going out and actually saying, hey, here are the good targets that we want to go after, they're thinking, well, I just want to go after the biggest and the best name. And we've fallen into that. And so what we've seen with many of our clients is that there's a challenge around actually understanding what the right account looks like, and more importantly, do we have developed criteria that's written out that says this is what a good account means? And so what we've done at Vorsight, and this is our actual right account criteria for Vorsight. And I'll give you an example here. Look at sales team size, and it's between 5 and 250. So if you think about this, we're a sales prospecting training organization. You would think, why aren't you going after companies that are 10,000 sales reps or bigger? You're a sales training organization. That would make you so much money. Well, we thought about that at one time, but realistically what we found out was that if you target companies that large, they tend to believe that they have a hand on how to prospect. And so what we realized is that that's not a good fit for us. So we stopped going after those. We let marketing continue to nurture those people in the hopes of one day being able to work with them, but we have our salespeople focused specifically on the accounts that we know hit our sweet spot. And so what you'll notice here is there's the psychographics as well as the demographics, the numbers that actually help us understand what that criteria looks like. But the next question to ask yourself is, okay, now we understand that we're supposed to have this criteria in place, but where does it come from? And where it comes from is who are your best clients? Who are those clients that your reps enjoy working with, or you as an organization enjoy working with? And then you look at, well, what size are they? What do they do? And how do they use us? And it helps us understand what accounts that we should be targeting. So what I would like everyone to do, and this is probably something that they tell you in public speaking never to do, but I'd like everyone to grab their cell phones and just hold it up for me real fast. Okay? Please. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'd like to do a poll. And on this poll, it's going to say, before contacting your leads, do your reps have criteria in place to help determine if the company is potentially a good fit? And I'd like you to actually send me a text to 22333, standard text rates apply, okay? And I'd like you to answer this, all right? Before contacting leads, do your reps have criteria in place to help determine if the company is potentially a good fit? If it's yes, type in 211744, and if it's no, 211745. Okay. So we'll give this a couple seconds to go through. Well, this is good. Perfect. Okay, well, I would give everyone a round of applause here because, and I would ask you guys to do this for yourselves. Yeah, all right. This is very good. Because again, what we're seeing is that in order to have, if you have this defined, what a defined account looks like, now your reps are going to start doing the right things with it. So this is phenomenal. Oops, wrong way. All right, so next let's start to think about, okay, we have the right account. Now, who is the right contact within the account that we need to be speaking with? So when we asked this question, we said to our the 1,150 salespeople that actually signed up for this, for the survey, we said, what percentage of these right accounts are actual decision makers? And I mean, it's right in front of you. Over 80% were not decision makers. Okay? And so now we start to think about what are the reps actually doing with these leads, potential ideas of accounts to target, after we find out that it's not the right person. And you think about what Matt Dixon was talking about yesterday, is that, and even when they are the right people, when organizations are making decisions now, it's no longer one key contributor that comes down and says, I want to work with you, I'm going to bring it in, and that's final. Now, when people are making decisions, they have to involve far more people. And so they're bringing in people from procurement, they're bringing in people from legal, and more importantly, we've got people that are SVPs that are bringing in their VPs, as well as managers and at times reps. And so what we need to understand is how can we map the organizational chart in order to find out sooner who are the right people that we need to involve. And so as you map the org chart, we need to think about things as title versus responsibilities. Okay? A title is one thing, but a responsibility is who actually holds the weight in the organization is something that's completely different. Then we need to be thinking about, where does this lead fall? Is this person coming to us from a certain business unit that may have a challenge within an organization or within a different functional area? And then more importantly, what level are they coming from? And so the second poll that I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you guys, yes or no, are most of our inbound leads, are they decision makers? Okay, so text to 22333, and then if yes, text the top one, and if no, text the bottom. All right, we'll take a couple seconds. I'm loving the participation here. We've got 3 people. This is great. Little sarcasm. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So now we're seeing here that we're not actually doing enough with these inbound leads. So we know that these are the right accounts. But realistically, we're not doing enough. We're not finding the right people for us to contact. And if you think about the name of the game in sales, it's this idea of being able to win fast and lose fast. And when you win slow, it's great. But when you lose slow, it's extremely frustrating. And when you're at the wrong level, you tend to lose slow. Okay? So let's get to the third piece of this, where we understand what the right account looks like. We understand what the right contact looks like, where we've mapped the organizational chart. We understand where people fall within that org chart. Now we need to understand what does the right message look like. And so one of the things that was great about it was a very interesting find for us, was how accurate is the data that we're getting from the leads that marketing is giving us. And as you'll see here, it's actually pretty good. 97% say that it is somewhat accurate to very accurate. And so it made us ask a question to ourselves: what are we doing with this data? And so in working with our clients, I talked about F5 a little bit earlier, but Verizon Wireless is a great client of ours, and they were being inundated with data, but they didn't know how to use it. One of the challenges that they had was people would come to them and say, I have interest, but when their marketers or when their sales development reps would try to go out and have a conversation with them, they didn't know how to use it. And when Arjun said, I saw that you downloaded this white paper, it's not necessarily about, hey, I saw this white paper, or I saw that someone in your organization downloaded the white paper, but it's more so, why did they do it? And so what we've developed with our clients through our research is the importance of understanding what is the hypothesis of need. Because what we expect and what we've seen with our clients is that most people don't feel comfortable actually calling out into their leads, actually contacting them and having a conversation. And so this is more of a mind map or a framework as to how we can look at our leads and the information that we're getting from them and construct a conversation. So first, we want to be able to answer all 4 questions before even picking up the phone. All right? The first question, or the first statement, I think they need to meet with us because. Now, this is based on a lot of why we know that they're a good account for us, or our right account criteria, is that we're going to look at these accounts and we're going to think to ourselves, how are they similar to other customers that we work with? And then we're going to utilize our client voice in a way that we're going to expect them to understand, or we're going to let them know that we've worked with clients that are similar to their industry or to the challenges that that industry may be facing at this time. The next step is now, what is your evidence going to be for this? So as you go to have this conversation with someone, you say to yourself, hey, I think they need to meet with us because there's a specific industry challenge that's going on right now that I've seen with my clients. My evidence for this comes from what your marketing data is, or some of the stuff that you're seeing through industry trends on InsideView. And then the third piece actually gets us back to, if I'm correct, my prospect will say. Now think about this. First off, I know that there's really 2 types of people that actually pick up the phone and make these unexpected sales calls. The first is the cowboy. Just picks up the phone and just wants to call every lead, doesn't do a lick of research, nothing like that. And the second is the librarian, the person that spends way too much time trying to prepare and wastes way too much time. And so the idea here is, the problem is that we're not preparing well enough. And if we're not thinking about what am I trying to get my prospect to say, then we're not going to be A, successful in the conversation, in framing the conversation, but B, we're also not going to know when we've earned the right to further qualify the prospect as a potential opportunity, which is the fourth piece. It's understanding, hey, if I'm correct, if I hit on these potential nerve points with my prospects, I can ask these questions. And so for the third poll, what I'd like to do here is I'd like to map out how good are we at earning the right to a conversation with our leads. And I went extremely high tech here, extremely scientific, where there's 3 possible answers: great, okay, and poor. All right, so if you could, go on ahead and text again. I was being sarcastic about the great, okay, and poor. All right. But text to 22333. And let's ask ourselves, how great are we at earning the right to a conversation with our leads? Love it. I want to meet the guy that said great. Perfect. Again, the key here is understanding when we're following up on leads, like the gentleman up here said earlier, what is our approach in how we're doing this? Is our approach where we're just picking up the phone and having these conversations as if we're telemarketers? Or is our approach, as we're following up on these leads, heck, we're having a business conversation and utilizing the data that we see in an effective way? All right? And so in closing, I kind of want to go back over a little bit what we had discussed on how to utilize the lead as an idea. Okay? First, do we have documented criteria for prioritizing our leads? Okay? Second, do we find the right contacts at those accounts? Third, have we been able to develop a hypothesis of need off of the lead intelligence that we have? And then fourth, did we increase the sales and marketing communication? Because that's really what's key here. It's one thing for us as sales professionals to be able to understand what our ideal customer profile, as they say in Miller Hyman, or the right account criteria looks like. But it's another thing for marketing to understand what that is and to target that group as well. Okay? Now, if you'd like to actually have the research that I was quoting on earlier, you can actually go to our website. I'll actually be at the booth if you have any questions. But vorsight.com/salesspeaks-ebook-form made it as simple as possible for you guys to be able to get to it. But please, if you have any questions, please grab me outside, or if you have any right now, I can field them as well. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.